When it comes to post-run flexibility, I know one of the biggest issues I always had with what got tight during that run or that race was my quads and hip flexors, just really got beat up, particularly if I had some hilly courses, What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this last Sunday I had a 32-mile run, started at 8,000 feet, ended up about 4,400. So the quads were definitely beat up.
Right, and Ryan Hall, he just, our boy here, training with us in Mammoth, he just ran the Boston Marathon course, which is a big net downhill course. That is even harder on the quads because of its downhill phase, and we get more of an eccentric load, which means that quad's under pressure when it's in a long position, which is really tough on the body and really beats those quads up. And then with the uphills that come up through those Heartbreak Hill series, again, hip flexors are now get really jacked because climbing those hills, you gotta lift those knees up if you're gonna get anywhere. I know you got the Comrades Ultra coming up, and again, this is a downhill year, right?
Right, Peter Maritzburg to Durban, and we're gonna be losing thousands and thousands of feet of elevation. So.
Yeah, so similar to like what Ryan had to do with Boston, it's like we got recovery. In training, if you're going to train for these events, you've got to get some uphills and some downhills in, so the load is going to happen no matter what. So post-run flexibility becomes really important if we're going to get to that starting line. So I think what we should really get in today is checking out and seeing how those quads and hip flexors are doing.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. So we're going to come on the table here. Again, this is a great one to do that you can do kind of on your own or if you get a little bit of assistance. So I think what I like to do in addressing quads and hip flexors is basically to start with the quads. Those big muscles, the rectus femoris, sartorius, all those guys that come down and attach down on that knee joint, because keeping those knees healthy is important. So let's see what we got. So we keep you in a long, straight position. Everything's pretty passive. I'm just going to kind of assess that quad range of motion. All right, how are we doing here? Feeling a little bit? Not too bad?
Feels okay.
Good. So what we're gonna do is, if I'm doing it on you, I like to go kind of active because I get some good blood pumping in the front. I can actually start to feel the tension in this leg. I'm getting a little shaking there as I get to that top range. Big stretch coming down the middle and lower part of that leg. You feel that?
Yep, absolutely.
Excellent. So I'll typically do 8, 10, 12 reps of this. Just a little 1-second hold at the top to get a good stretch to try to open that tissue up. If it's a little painful in that knee, you got to start slow and really just kind of work and baby your way through it. How are we doing?
Feels pretty good.
Not too bad? So mostly down in that lower part, right?
Yep.
So post-run, great stretch to do. So if you're going to do it on your own, basically you're going to kind of stay in that same position, but you're going to bring that right hand back. You'll actively work the hamstring a little bit and then get your hand in to stay in there. Key with this one is keeping those hips down on that table so you can get that good stretch and you're not moving away from it. Feeling that one?
Yeah.
Again, in this position, really make sure you don't hyperextend that back because we don't want to put a back into spasm, and we really just want to isolate those quad muscles. Good job. Feeling all right?
Feeling pretty good.
Feeling pretty good. Good. All right. So getting some good pumping motion, opening that quads up because it was a long, hard, painful downhill run, and we've got to get you out of it and ready for that workout tomorrow.
Yep.
Nice. So the next one, if we kind of let that leg relax, gets up into the hip and psoas. So the iliopsoas group, the psoas muscle, the iliacus, and even that tensor fascia lata, which will come and wrap down towards that IT band, are the big ones you use a lot when you're lifting those knees up. Right. Up the hills, a lot of work goes into those guys. They get tight. So what we do is pretty much stay in the same position, but what we do now is elevate the upper body while keeping the hips down. So you can kind of either go hands if you're pretty loose, forearms if you're tight in that position, to get a good stretch. So let's actually see where you are on your forearms. Now just to kind of address here, again, that's pretty solid, not too bad, so that's a pretty easy stretch on you. But if it's tight, hey, we kind of work through it. So let's see what it's like when you come up on your hands. So again, good position, not hyperextending the back, so we keep the core solid and tight, and coming up and in, and now we get a little deeper into that psoas. You'll actually feel it up into your abdominals if that muscle's really tight.
Right through here.
You're right, and now where you're dealing there, we'll actually get tensor fascia lata, another hip flexor in that group to really get in there. Feeling that one?
Yeah, it's really isolating the stretch
Isolating
here.
that stretch. Yeah, that TFL is a big one on distance runners, that jumps in and it tries to assist when these other quad muscles just kind of blow out and get tight. So again, you can also do this by yourself in that position, holding that foot, trying to keep, again, back nice and neutral, abs are tucked in, good stretch, holding only 1 to 2 seconds. Again, good blood pump. You can do it passively if you want. holding for maybe 30 seconds in one hit, but you gotta be really slow and still and just let the muscle open up. Never try to force a stretch, because then the body will fight against you, and that's where you get into a little tug of war and some injuries happen with flexibility. Feeling all right?
Yeah, it's definitely not a no pain, no gain kind of thing. You don't want to destroy your muscles by trying to get the full range of motion with the stretch.
Exactly. Post-run flexibility is supposed to help you, not hurt you.
Right.
All right, stand up for me and let me see how you're doing. All I want you to do is just kind of like lift that right leg up and see how that feels. And how about the left one? Feel a little lighter and looser?
It does, actually.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this leg feels like
pretty good.
20 pounds less than this one.
Terrence is working his magic.
There we go. So post-run flexibility in those quads is going to get you back out the next day, a little more pop in your step, a little more speed into that run. Probably go a little further, get a little more endurance.
Yeah, and recovery is really the name of the game. I mean, anyone can go out there and log the miles, but it's what you do in the hours when you're not running that really get you ready for the next run.
Without a doubt. And good recovery, good flexibility is going to mean better training for you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Josh.
Sure.